Welcome back. We are continuing our conversation about home-based businesses with Lyz Marshall, and she is the manager of Seton Hill University's E-Magnified Women's Program.
Women's Business Center.
Okay. So explain to us what that is for those who don't know and never heard of.
Seton Hill University's E-Magnify is a center that helps women to start and grow businesses.
Okay.
So the Women's Business Center is funded in part by the Small Business Administration.
Okay, the SBA.
And we provide funding. They provide funding for us to provide assistance for women, whatever growth.
What kind of assistance?
From any stage that a woman wants to either start a business, a woman that's currently in business, to a woman that finds that they need to close their business or cycle out of it.
Okay. So based on what you've heard from our ladies earlier,
really?
You heard a lot.
Yeah, I heard a lot.
A lot of energy going on there.
It was really.
Are the issues just the general issues that they have, the successes, the struggles, the obstacles?
It's quite typical of everything that we really do, because we do a lot of counseling services at the center, and it's typical of what women will go through. Some of the things that I did hear that we need to really work on as women is really being comfortable about dealing with finances.
Right,
I think they really brought that up as one of the obstacles, and I really noticed that that's one thing. There are resources available. The Small Business Administration is working very hard to provide money available for women. I do want to make sure that I make it clear there's no grants available, there's no free money.
Right.
A lot of people contact us looking for free money, and that just doesn't exist.
And that is something that is such a misconception, because I hear it all the time. Somebody wants to grant.
They're looking for free money.
And I think from time to time I've heard of various women's organizations or some even entrepreneurs who had some money that you might win a grant.
Right.
But it is far and few between.
It is. And they have a lot of contests, and there's work that you have to do. So no matter what you do with finances, it's going to be work.
Okay.
And it has to be some sacrifices that you make. That's what they're looking for. So a lot of the loan programs that the SBA offers, the money's there, but they need you to prove that you have a plan together. And that's one of the things that we mentioned, and that's the other point that I noticed.
Right.
All of the panelists had different points where they were in their business. But what you're looking for is to make sure you have that plan. If they're going to get to that goal that they mentioned, you need to have a plan. And the business plan is that roadmap to get you there.
Sure. And many people, as I'm sure you know, want to bypass that plan.
They do. And they feel like it's like a burden. It's like, I don't really want to do it. But it really is just a roadmap. It is not in stone. It's just to force you to think about what you have to go through. How are you going to get to what you want to be? Or even think about, I'm not really sure if this is for me. Some people do discover that.
And that's something, that's a good point. There are people who, as I was saying earlier, they think that because they did well on their job, that they can do well, but that they can transfer the same thing over when indeed they're wearing many hats in the beginning. And you mentioned risk and you mentioned sacrifices. And I think the point where someone will complete that business plan, that says a lot about how successful you're going to be. Because if you're not going to sit down and think it all out, and you just want to jump from starting the business to being on Oprah's show.
Oh,
you know?
and it does happen, because we have a lot of people, they really think that it's going to happen, and they aren't aware of all of the other risks that's associated with the sacrifices, because I heard all of them mention the sacrifice that they make. And one of the things I like to mention to people is establish boundaries. You have boundaries that you establish. If you work on a job, you work fictitious times 9 to 5. When you work at your home-based business, you need to have boundaries with your family and be clear about them.
What we don't seem to explore enough, and you found out much later, is what impact is this business, even though it's home-based, going to have on your life, your family's life, your finances. Because I know people who I thought were doing very well, and they would confess they in debt, they in bad credit. I mean, and that's kind of the reality. You look at them and you think, boy, are they doing well? But when they humble themselves and spill their guts and think and tell you that. Because they mentioned money. You need money.
They need money. So one of the things I mention to people is to be honest. When you decide you want to go into a business, you need to be honest with the people that are in your inner circle who are going to be impacted by that, because it impacts everyone. And not just, because you desire that you found something that you're interested in. But
right, that you can go out there.
You can go out and do it, but everyone needs to buy into it, because that way it'll help you with the support that you need later.
Especially when that's important, because especially when you have a family. And whether you know it or not, you need their support, whether you think this is my business, don't tell me what to do. Meanwhile, you're sucking up and draining up not only the space in the house, but, the place used to be dining room now, where there's a file cabinet and you hear people calling and everything else, and you have traffic coming in and out. It's like, Mom, who are these people? So just exploring really what impact will this have on my life, and people are staying up late watching those infomercials. Well, they say you only could work 3 hours a week.
I know it. I see them all the time, and they come in, and because you bring up another point, people have to be careful too what type of home-based business they go into, because they look at those. There's no get-rich-quick type of things. If it's too good, if it sounds too good,
it probably
is. It's too good to be true. And you go in and you try to find all these different ways to try to go in and launch out on your own without actually knowing what you're getting into, and it does take more than what you think.
And you hear these testimonies. I'm making this and this, and I used to be shoveling.
It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart every time I see it, because they buy into it out of desperation.
And that's why those commercials are so successful. Because people the boss ticked them off last week, and all of a sudden somebody said, you can make some glue at your house, and all of a sudden
and they jump into it,
and they'll jump into it, and all of a sudden they're in debt. So they have to really think it, and you help them to think this all out.
We do, because the biggest part, the greatest sacrifice in what everyone goes through is making that first step. When you make that decision that that's what you want to do, that really is the hardest part. Because once you let go and realize that this is something that I want to do, I'm willing to sacrifice, and I've talked to everyone, I've looked at everything, that's the biggest hurdle.
And you have to stay focused.
You do.
Because you can't say, oh, I've been in business for 3 months and I'm out of here because I don't see the Mercedes-Benz at the front. It may be a few years.
It takes some time. Statistics and research has shown it takes about 5 years before you actually start actually seeing a profit.
And I've talked to many women who said, I have paid my employees and have not paid myself. And I think you have to define what is success going to be for you. How do you define success? Some folks may say it's the flexibility and the fact that I can basically make what I made on the job and maybe compensate for that, not have 10 employees, 3 locations, and have trucks with my name on it. That might not be your definition of success. For you.
Yeah. The panelists all had different goals that they were all trying to achieve. I think Donna was mentioning that she wants to go and empower people. That's the definition of success for her. So you really have to be clear about that. And sometimes as you go along the road, you don't realize what that is until you start getting involved in things.
And it changes too.
If we talked to Donna, probably she's 5 years in. If we talked to her when she first started, that may not have been what she defined as success.
As she discovered things and took a different road. It's certainly a path, and you may have to yield a few times. You may have to stop at a red light and stop and rethink. You may have the green light, you go speed ahead, and then you determine, who am I going to carry with me on this path? Who am I going to throw out? I thought they were okay, so we're on the road and they have to go.
You do.
And so that whole, it's such a strategy. You have to become a strategist. How are you going to make this work? Because once you reach the destination, it is well worth it. All those things they say, flexibility, all these parents who want to be home for their kids.
And it's a wonderful thing. So I think it's a wonderful option, and we live in a time where you can do that. Having access to the internet and being able to do some things at home and doing them 24/7. I think Angie mentioned that she was available. She's up 24/7. She's making that sacrifice, but think of all the flexibility that she has because she can do that. It really opens up a whole world.
It does. It does. But I think we both agree that you have to lay the foundation first.
You have to.
Don't even bypass the foundation. Because if you do,
you will find trouble later.
So
you have to put in the time now. It's just like building a house. You don't go out and start putting a structure up without having a right foundation. You have no idea, and you have no idea what type of windows, what type of building are you putting up. The foundation prepares you for that. So
I told someone one time, so it may take you a few months before you start to even get customers. She said, a few months? I was like, yeah, honey, a few months,
And people, they don't see that because that's part of that instant.
And it's a part of our society. And people are paying a price, and there are companies who are benefiting off of these people and their mindset that I'm going to make it next week, and they're pulled in by what they perceive as the glamour of being the boss. And I always say to people, you're not the boss. You wait till a problem happens, and you will find out who the boss
really is.
Right, and it's not you. So eMagnify's nonprofit program is their website, phone number, folks can call.
It is www.e-magnify.com. And they can call directly at 724-830-1852.
So right now you're located.
We're located at Seton Hill University on the campus at Seton Hill. We're like a department within the university in Greensburg. But part of the services, we do offer counseling and training via the internet. We do it by phone, and we
Okay.
do go out to the different areas. So we're working on
And in
that.
the future, you're looking for more affiliations. You'll be
We're
more
working
so
more with
broadening
organizations,
the
right?
horizon.
Because
Okay.
we're challenged to reach out to the 27 county areas. Our market
Okay.
is take the state of Pennsylvania and divide it in half. We go all the way from the west, and we're covering that entire quarter.
All right. Any last advice you want to give to some home-based entrepreneurs quickly?
I think that you need to really set some realistic goals. Be
Okay.
realistic
That's the bottom
about
line.
what they
Okay.
because it's really important.
Lasagna, I want to thank you so much for this
thank
information. And I
you.
hope people do call and get help because you need help.
You
in
need
your
help,
business.
and that's help is not a bad thing.
Right,
Yes, it is good.
And I want to thank you a lot. And I want to thank you for joining us. We'll be right back.